Now, till now, we have done reasons of consumers' exploitation, and I hope you have all understood. Now, we'll start with growth of consumer awareness. In India, the concept of consumer protection is not new. This consumer protection idea was very old. It was seen that in olden days people were more exploited. Now though you have got consumer protection acts and different courts and all, they can they are a big support to the consumers. But in olden days, in primitive days, there were no such laws, and that is why people were more exploited. So how this consumer protection has came up to till now, what are the process, what was the process, how this consumer awareness came up from the beginning. It was seen that reference to the protection of consumers' interest against exploitation by trade, industry, underweight, and measurement adulterations were all done. And there were punishments written in Kautilya's Arthashastra also. It was written what all punishment should be given to the people who were just exploiting the consumers. However, organized and systematic movement to safeguard the interest of consumer in the recent phenomena. This developed in the late 80s, in 80s and 90s. This system was developed properly, and more norms were added. It was made more modernized, and with the growing liberalization of an economy, it was developed more, and the government withdrew itself from the production activity. When government withdrew the production activities and permitted the private sector to take over for the production of goods and services, it was realized that there was a great need to enforce discipline also. It was found that they should be checked properly, and the consumers have to be aware not only for the commercial aspects of sale and purchase of goods, but also of the health, security, and security purposes. It was government's interest, their thought that there should be some discipline, some regulations regarding the consumers sale and purchase, that the sellers are not exploiting these consumers. And this thing should also be kept in mind, that their safety and security should also be prioritized. The health should also be seen properly. The contaminated or adulterated food is the major source of human illness and suffering, and result in serious loss of nutrition. It was also seen that people were not being given proper nutrition, and because of adulteration they were getting sick, they were getting ill. So ensuring the safety of the food is thus became an important aspect of creating awareness. It became a very important aspect, that now it was seen in such a big amount. It was seen that sellers were exploiting the consumers very badly, and their health issues were affected by that. And then what the government thought, that now the consumer should be made aware about the rights and duties, and awareness should be created among the consumers, so that they can be saved from these rude and bad sellers. This called for a strong legal measure to ensure that the producers and seller observe uniformity and transparency in price. It was being said to the sellers that they should keep a transparency in the price and in the stock, the quality of the product, the uniformity in the product. This should be checked, and this legal measure should be taken against the sellers if this is broken by the seller. If the uniformity is broken, if the price differences is being found among their products, or stock should be checked, that they are not hoarding anything in their godowns. So the government also felt that promoting consumer awareness about the possible malpractices and providing the consumers the tool to control them in the is the only effective way to promote the rights of the consumers. Now what they thought, that now there is a need to make some act, make some law against the this kind of exploitation, against this type of creation, this type of cheating by the sellers. So, as a result, the government passed the Consumer Protection Act in 1986. So now what we can see, that it started from Kautilya's Arthashastra, and all the uh, punishments were written in that, and then it was developed more in 80s and 90s, and still sellers were they were cheating, they were exploiting the consumers. So after seeing all this, the government has come up with an act which was known as Consumer Protection Act in 1986. As a result of this act, and any businessman restoring to unfair means to be taken to task by the given different courts set up at the district level, state level, and the national level. As a result, the consumers began to compensated for the loss they incurred by buying defective goods or in getting poor services. So it was this act was passed by which the consumers were helped by the way that they should not be exploited by buying the defective goods, and if it was found, then there were rights made and there were punishment made for such kind of sellers who do so, right? So this was the growth of consumer awareness, right? Now comes consumer behavior in the market. In the past, the general belief was leave the consumer to himself. The consumer is the best judge for his own interest. Let him decide for himself. It was seen in the past time that it was left onto the consumer. But with the growing commercialization and marketization, it came to be realized that the consumer stands at a much weaker footing than a seller. A seller can always manipulate the market conditions to his favor. Hence, it is essential to protect a consumer against exploitation at the hands of the seller. It was found that it was a greater need now to protect the consumers from the sellers. So consumer protection is important for the following reason. First, to make sure that producers and sellers do not adopt unfair trade practices. It was made sure that producers and sellers should not practice unfair trade to ensure and to encourage and ensure effective implementation of consumer protection law, to check anti-social activities like hoarding, black marketing, etc. These were things, the main things to be checked by the government, that these things should not be found by the government, and these things should not be practiced by the sellers. So government has also made a law in the Consumer Protection Act, and in it there were some consumer rights also. Now what are the rights? Right to safety. First right is of the consumer is right to safety, right to protection of against any marketing of goods and services. No hazardous products should be given to them, right? Then right to be informed. All the consumers have the right to be informed about the particulars of goods and services, about the quality, about the quantity, about the purity, about the prices of the product. It is the right of the consumer to get to know about the information about the product. This is the right of the consumer. Right to choose. There is always a right of choosing the product. Whichever consumer wants a product, it has the right to choose. No seller can force any consumer to buy their own products. Then it is a right to be heard. Then again, if there is any consumer problem, or consumer faces any problem against the seller, it is always the right of the consumer to say his voice, and the hearing of his consumer's problem is his right. No one can say that I'm not going to hear, no court can say that I'm not going to hear your problem. It is his right that whatever problem he has the right to say, and the court has to listen to it. Right to seek redressal, it's the fifth right. The consumer has the right to seek redressal against unfair trade practices if if any consumer is found that he is being exploited, or some unfair trade practice is being done against him, then he has the right to get the compensation or whatever fair settlement is there. He has the right to get that. Then last is right to consumer education. This includes knowledge about the goods and the issues relating to consumer welfare. All the rights, and it is the right of the consumer, and that is why, children, it is being taught in your syllabus that you must know what are your rights, because you are one of the consumer in the market, and that is why it is in the syllabus that we should tell you about your rights and duties, right? Then comes duties. What is the consumer's duty? First of all, the first duty of the consumer is, while purchasing the goods, consumer should look at the quality of the product as well as on guarantees or warranty period. He should ask for the bill. He should check for ISI mark, egg mark. He should always check it while buying it. Sometimes sellers do not give the bills, so it is the right, it is the duty of the consumer to get that bills and to check minute details regarding the product. Then consumer should ask for a cash memo and warranty card. This is his duty. Consumer must be aware of their rights and duties. It is also one of the duty of the consumer that he should be aware of the rights and duties of the consumer. Then consumer should form consumer awareness organization. They should form some organization where they can bring up their problems, and there should be a representative, one person who can take the problems of various consumers, and they can go to the court and fight for their problem. Then last is, he should know the method how to proceed if he is cheated. It is always being told to the consumer that they should know the process of coming out from getting rid of their problem. They should know the process where all places the consumers should go, and what all they should do to get redressal from their problem. So these were the rights of the consumer. Then comes Consumer Protection Act. What is Consumer Protection Act? It is also the short form is also written, it's COPRA, right? COPRA, COPRA. So this act was passed by the government in 1986, and the short form is also known as COPRA. It is one of the most important legal measure in protecting the rights of the consumer. Right, the act came into force with effect from 1st July 1987, and the amendments were made in 1991, 93, 2002. What are the main features of the Consumer Protection Act? The first one is, the act applies to all the goods and services. No goods and services are away from Consumer Protection Act. All the goods as well as services come under Consumer Protection Act. Then it also covers all the sectors, whether public, private or cooperative. All the sectors come under Consumer Protection Act. Then it is a three-tier system. Three-tier system is, there are levels. People can go to the national level, state level and district level. At the national level, it is called National Consumer Commission. Then at state level, it is called State Consumer Commission. And at district level, it is called District Forum. Then these courts looks into the grievances and complaints of the consumers against the traders and manufacturers, and provide necessary relief to the consumer. Then at present, there are more than 500 district courts operating in a country, and they all see that the consumers should be relieved from different kinds of mishappening done by the seller to them. This act gives the following rights to the consumer: the right to be protected against the marketing of goods and services from the hazardous goods. These rights are all, children, these rights are all the rights which we have already studied: the right to safety, right to be informed, right to be heard. These courts have given the rights, these all rights to the consumers, right? Then comes right to inform. There is one more right of the consumer to get the information. Now, what it is? Information adds something new to our awareness and removes doubts. We may get information in any form. We can get the information in the form of documents, emails, advices, press release, etc. Information is power, and hence right to information has to be ensured by the government. Now, the Right to Information Act, that which is passed in 2005 on June 15th, right, and which came into force on October 13, 2005. Hitherto, information was disclosed in India by the Official Secretariat Act 1923. This RTI, that is Right to Information Act, gives citizen of India access to the record of central and state government. This information you can get from central government and you can get from state government. You can get information of state government and central government through this RTI, that is Right to Information. But some information which are confidential, like defense and all, military areas, defense areas, some issues regarding that, they are kept as a confidential thing. But rest, all the information you can get in the form of documents, in the form of press release, in the form of emails, you can get from central government and state government, right? So under this provision of Act, any citizen of India may request for information from the public authority, which is required to reply within 30 days. Any person, any citizen of India can ask for the information from public, from the state government and central government, and it becomes mandatory for the state government or central government to reply within 30 days. The Act also requires every public authority to computerize their records and publish certain categories for the information, so that citizen needs minimum resources to request for information. It was being said that central government should publish the basic information so that general public should get minimum, at least minimum information, whatever the every person should know, every citizen of India must know. Such type of records should be published, and if there is any other information which the citizen wants, then they can go for RTI. Another Act, Right to Information, includes the following: request for information, take copies. What they can do, they can request for information, take a copy of documents, inspection of the document records and works, taking certified samples of materials of work, obtaining information in the form of printouts, tapes, floppies, video cassettes, and any other electronic mode. So these all the following things are included in this Act. The process, what is the process of right to information? Under the Act, all authorities covered must appoint public information officers, PIOs. It is the obligation of PIO, that is the public information officer, to provide information as desired. If the request is related or concerned to another public authority, in whole or part, it is his PIO's responsibility to forward the concerned part of the request to the other authorities within period of 5 days. If suppose you are asking from any authority, public authority, to just give me the information, and somehow he finds out that it is not his department who has to answer, some another department is supposed to answer, then it becomes the duty of PIO to just transfer that request to other department within 5 days. Besides, every public authority is also required to appoint assistant public information officer also to receive RTI request and appeal for forwarding it to the PIO. Some of the public authorities are also keeping assistant public information officers, and assistants take the request and pass it on to PIOs. The absence of authentic information on matters of public interest will encourage rumors and speculation and allegations against individual or institutions. Therefore, this act will help the citizen to perform their fundamental duties. Also, it becomes mandatory for every public authority to work properly, because if any mishappening is found, or any discrepancy is found, then it becomes very uh, difficult for the institutions to work, because some or the other allegation is harmful for any of the institutions. Then right to information is not absolute. It is being said that whatever information is being taken from RTI, sometimes it is not very absolute. There always remains areas of information that needs to be protected in public and national interest. Moreover, the right to information may have an adverse effect of an overload demand on administration. So this right to information needs to be properly classified. No right therefore can be absolute, right? So then comes other consumer protection measures. This is the last topic, children, of Consumer Protection Act. There are government measures. Government has taken many legislative measures, administrative measures, technical measures to solve the problems of the consumers when they face any uh, cheat or exploitation by the sellers. So administrative measure, this is the first measure. In administrative measures, it is being found that distribution of food crop and food items are being distributed by public distribution system is being set up by an administrative and administration, and it is termed as administrative measures, where this public distribution system have at least 4.74 lakh shops, which you also say that ration, through the ration cards, the goods, the food supply, the rice, the cereals, the wheat is being supplied to poor people, so that basic needs are fulfilled of our country. So PDS, that is public distribution system, with a network of 4.74 lakh fair price shops, is perhaps the largest distribution network of its type in the world. It is operated under the joint responsibility of central and state government. Apart from ensuring food security to the poor, the public distribution system is also expected to prevent hoarding, black marketing, and overcharging by the traders. The last topic is technical measures. Technical measures is there are some standardizations set by the government, which every seller has to keep in mind. Like the Indian government has established Bureau of Indian Standard, that is BIS, and EGMARK. BIS is for industrial and consumer goods, while EGMARK is meant for agricultural product. So they have set some standards, and when these sellers will show the standards to it, that they are meeting the standards of the product, so they will be given BIS mark or ISI mark, which was also known as ISI mark. And if there is any agricultural product, then these products will have egg mark. After satisfying the standard quality which the government has said, government will provide them egg mark, which is assurance that these products are good for consumption, right? So ISI, that is Indian Standard Institutions, whose headquarters are located in New Delhi, it has the responsibility of laying down the standards for industrial and consumer goods. on the scientific basis and certified the goods that meets the standards and the prescribed quality. In case of dissatisfaction with the quality of a certified product, the consumer can complain to the nearest regional office of BIS. Eggmark is implemented under the Agricultural Produce Grading Marketing Act 1937 as amended in 1986. This scheme is run by the Directorate of Marketing and Intelligence in Ministry of Agriculture. Government of India products such as honey, masala and spice carry such marks. Right, so this is the end of the chapter, children, and I'll be sending some pictures also, so that you can go through it and understand the chapter well. And children, go through it, and I'll be sending the assignments regarding this chapter, associated with this chapter, and you have to do it in your copy, you have to do it in your register, right? And when we'll meet, we'll be checking your registers. I'll be checking your registers.